Good morning. I'm Jeremy. I'm an evangelist for IBM Watson. I also lead our CMO programs worldwide. So my job is helping out to go and understand where's technology going and why, and spend time with senior marketers, with our enterprise clients about what does this mean and why, and what should you worry about. So I'm going to try and break away from the agenda straight away, actually, because we're talking about what's the future of AI. And I'm not sure that all of you want to know what the future of AI is. I think some of you want to know what's the present of AI. Because it's really easy for me as an evangelist to stand here and show you a lot of very sexy things. And we have lots of those at IBM, and I'm sure you've seen many of them already. What I'd like to do is to try and show you some of the things that we're actually doing. So instead of out of the possible, kind of what's the art of the now. Is that okay? And also, the reason that we're going to try and show some bits of Watson, and we're going to try and do this quite fast, and with strict instructions to kind of talk slower. I'm on a lot of caffeine, and I'm from Manchester, so I'm slowing down very fast. I'm going to try and kind of talk through a lot of this stuff in some kind of cohesive manner. I want to try and paint a picture about what all this stuff means to you. And when I was thinking this morning about what's the main message I'd like to get across, it was really the challenges, not just that we're talking about today, about accessibility. It's exactly the same challenges, whether I'm talking to someone that's sight impaired or people have to use specific tools in order to do their jobs. When I sat in a boardroom with CMOs, some of the biggest companies in the world, they have exactly the same issues. And it's an issue about being in control. It's an issue that's the one thing that all of us want. It's how do we stay in control of our business, of the relationships, of our employees. And technology like this, when it works properly, its job should be to put us back in control. Now, why is that important? Well, we spend an awful lot of time and money at IBM on research. So we went out, and with one of our CEO reports, we went and asked some of the biggest leaders in the world, what's the biggest thing that you challenge with the most? And how do you feel about the current climate of business? And you know what the main stat was that came back? 4 out of 5 executives currently feel overwhelmed and underprepared for the challenges their business is going to face over the next 5 years. Executives are terrified. Not in control, they don't know what technology to use, they don't know what to buy, they don't know what metrics, they have cultural issues. I'm a big believer the world's going to change more over the next 5 years than it has over the last 20. I'm going to try and make a case for that in just a second. So the whole purpose of all of this technology, sorry, there seems to be an echo from somewhere, is to try and put you back in control so that you can keep up. And so that you can do your job better and faster. So what does that mean for AI, when there's a lot of science fiction talk and people scaremongering about jobs? What does it mean for the future of voice technology, where if you look at that in its purest form, for an always-on device, what does that mean for privacy? Something that's listening to you all the time. Well, ethics and moral implications around that. So I thought, let me just start with just a little picture of something that we've done this year. It's one of the best programs that I worked on. I spent some time with Wimbledon. I want to show you a video, and we had a conversation about control at Wimbledon this year. We have a 27-year partnership with Wimbledon. And we do analytics for performance athletes, for the coaches, and also for Wimbledon, who are trying to turn themselves into a media organization, away from the sports organization that you may think they are. So let me just show you a short video. This is going to be a little bit of fun. But as you're watching this video, just see if you notice anything that's special or different about it.
Oh, he's made it! That's sensational from Brown. We have a contender for shots of the tournament on the very first day. Wonderful bit of magic. There's that forehand. Oh my goodness.
And the scary thing was, Raonic was covering the line.
That's ridiculous. That actually is ridiculous. that ball. Oh, that is genius. The quality of the pickup initially to keep the rally alive, and then what Alfie Hewitt did to finish it.
Anybody notice anything different about that? It's an emotional video, it looks pretty cool. It's the highlight package of the best shots of Wimbledon from the championships this year. Anybody? 2017 was the first year that an AI, Watson, created all the cognitive highlight packages at Wimbledon. 100% done by a computer with no human involvement whatsoever. We did the highlight packages. You may have seen them on BBC, you may have seen them on Wimbledon.com. Those highlight package at the end of every game, the key shots, and you see that, and it's an emotion that's showing the arc of the game and the key points. That's all done by a computer for the first time this year. This partnership we've got with Wimbledon, Watson looked at 53 million points going back to 1990. Looked at the crowd noise. We've got a project with MIT on sound. Understood excitement levels within the crowd. Looked at historical data going back to 1877 to see how tennis matches played out. We even took the sentiment analytics of when the players were being interviewed in the press before the games, figured out what mood they were in, how that might affect the game, and all of those insights, Watson put them together and created the highlight packages. So that's pretty freaking awesome. But why would Wimbledon want to do that? Well, it freed them up to go and do the things that they could spend more time on that was more useful and more valuable, which was a lot of the spontaneous things that happened throughout the championships. Instead of being bogged down creating some of these things which are actually quite templated, they could then go and love their fans. They've got 70 million fans and provide a more compelling experience for them. And it's completely changed the way that Wimbledon started to operate. All done by Watson. What does that mean? Let's have a look at what that is. And this is real. This is this year. It's never been done before. What does that mean for the future of video production, for AI? What does that mean for the future of how we create compelling content and tell stories? And what's the role of the artist and the creative in the middle of all of that? So some thoughts for the other sessions we've got for the rest of the day. So the reason that this is important and the reason that we talk about technologies like Watson with so much passion and why we show what it's able to do today is because the amount of data that we have to deal with is just overwhelming. Now, it'd be really easy for me just to show you a PowerPoint with 1,000 different numbers on it. It'd be really dull. But I thought I'd rather visualize for you what it is that we're trying to do. Because all of our jobs is to tell better stories. But the reason we need to tell better stories is by taking all of this data and trying to find some meaningful information in it in order to try and communicate what it is that we need to do. So when you look at connected products, you look at the weather. We on the weather company, we've got the biggest IoT project in the world. It's about 2.2 billion sensors around the world. We run 5 weather models every 10 minutes in order to understand how the weather changes behavior. You add up all the data from CRM, from social media, and from all the different places that are coming through apps and from the social web. And what you find is that 90% of all the data in the world was created in the last 12 months. It's insane. What does that mean? That's 2.5 quintillion bytes of data are being created every 24 hours. That's 18 zeros. If that's still not scary enough, that's a company the size of IBM. The equivalent of is being created every 24 hours. It's our job to make sense of that. And the digital universe is going to be 40 times bigger by 2020. So it's not going to slow up anytime soon. Now, the reason that this is a challenge is because of all of this data that we're looking at that we need to make sense of, 80% of it is unstructured, we call it dark data. And of all of that unstructured data, the stuff that doesn't live in a CRM in a database, only 0.5% is usually analysed by a company, even though 30 to 40% of it is useful. So that's the reason that people use Watson, because it can look at all of that data, up to 10 million records a second. So ultimately what Watson can do in 1 second, it may take a human a lifetime to do. It can process all of that in real time to do whatever it is that you want to do. And I'm going to show you how you can have some fun with Watson, completely for free, and build on all of the APIs at the end of the presentation. So you guys can go and mess with it. Now, the way that we visualize some of this is through command centers. Let me show you what one looks like. This is just a live representation of, this is Watson. What you're seeing on the screen here is 500 million networks, blogs and forums, everything from Facebook, Twitter, anything that doesn't sit behind a paywall. Watson's visualizing in real time to within 3,000th of a second to see what the world is saying about IBM and about Watson. But there's something special that's going on here as well. Because if you look in the middle, this isn't one of those traditional command centers that just visualizes data. That's easy. People do been doing that for a long time. I came from Salesforce and Adobe, Facebook before then. We've been doing this for a decade. But look at this in the middle. This is amazing. This is the tech that we used at Wimbledon. This is personality insights. We're able to use this technology not just to see what people clicked on, but to see what mood were they in the last 10 minutes based upon their browsing behavior, even when they don't give us any data, based on anonymous data. Solves a whole load of GDPR issues, the whole things about anonymous data. What we're seeing at the moment is 55% of consumers don't want to ever give their data to marketers ever again. 55%. That creates a huge problem for anyone in marketing, doesn't it? Because nobody wants to give data anymore. So what you have to do is look at systems like this, not to figure out, based upon your email and your mobile, what you might do next, but based upon the mood that you're in, what are lots of people like you likely to do next? That's where the power of an AI like Watson can come in to help, as we make assumptions with a degree of confidence about what action you should do next. And let me show you an example of this in a second. So, talked about the art of the possible. Two little demos I want to show you. The first one's a video, the second one we're going to try and do it on my computer. What I'm about to show you is completely real. We don't show it very often. I've got permission to show it, which is great, but I need to cut it off at a certain point. This is two analysts. Imagine two analysts from a bank that have got to take an obscene amount of data to make a very complicated decision about a company to buy. We're looking at mergers and acquisitions. They're going to role play as two analysts. Now, historically, this would take tens of millions of dollars in consulting hours. And this is just going to be two analysts that are asking Watson. This is based at TJ Watson Labs in New York. This is absolutely real. There's no smoke and mirrors. It's not been staged, not just to try and do a sexy video for IBM. Let me just show you. It's about 75 seconds long, and you'll see how they're interacting with a computer in a completely different way. Think about how you've ever interacted with a computer like this before.
Watson, I need help with acquisitions.
Hello. How can I help you with mergers and acquisitions?
Watson, show me companies with revenue between $25 million and $60 million pertaining to analytics.
Let's see what I can find. I found 87 companies.
Okay, so that's a good start. What do you think, Brian?
But I was doing some homework, actually. I think we should pull in that Watson strategy group document. There's a lot of key concepts in there. Let's feed it to Watson.
All right. Watson, please regard this as cognitive strategy.
Watson, show me companies with revenue between $15 million and $60 million pertaining to cognitive strategy.
Let's see what I can find.
Yeah, this is nice.
I found 112 companies.
Now we're getting a lot in here. And we can see we're getting some connections to it.
Watson, show me companies that are about analytics and cognitive strategy that are most similar to the companies named Wolfram Alpha and Kawasaki Robotics.
I found 3 companies similar to the ones you specified.
Beautiful.
Well, let's see what we think of these.
Dive a little deeper. Let's compare these things.
Sure. Watson, show me a decision table.
We lost our sound. Anybody could help us with that sound, that would be fantastic. So let me just stop there. What Watson actually did, and there was only about 15 seconds left of that clip, he took all of that data that would have taken a lot of analysts' time to process all of that, and he made a decision about what company they should buy. And he goes on to explain exactly why that's a good decision. We did a similar project a few years ago with TED. This was really cool. Think about the future of education. We fed every single TED talk that's ever been recorded into Watson, 39,000 TED talks. We fed them all into Watson. We listened to the tone, looked at the slides, image tagged the slides, looked at the tone of the speaker, and then the transcript of what they said. And now you can ask Watson any question about any of the TED Talks that have gone up. What does this mean for the future of my startup? How should I deal with this diversity problem? Is leadership something that is born, or is it something that is, something that you can train? And Watson will give you an answer based upon those TED Talks, and then saying, here's the 3 talks you should watch yourself to make up your own mind. It's insane. We do a lot in education. Harriet Green's heading up a whole thing we're doing with Sesame Street, trying to personalise 153 million education programs. So every single one's unique to the level of learning and ability of each particular child. Watson's powering all of that real time. So when you think about technologies like this, and hopefully if the sound does work, otherwise my Watson demo is screwed. I was looking at this last year to see what does this mean for the space that we're in. Is it overwhelming? Is there a lot of people out there? Who's doing it and why? I stand in front of stages a lot and say Watson is the only production-ready AI for enterprise. It's really easy for me to say that. Lots of other people have a type of an AI. Microsoft's got parts of one, Google's got parts of. No one has an enterprise-ready AI. Google, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix. Now we've got a window of about 18 months where this is the case, and we'll see how the industry plays out. But I thought, let's have a look at who's talking about this stuff and who's investing in it. And in 2016, these are the top 100 companies that were most in the news by industry, and there's 100 logos on that slide. Companies investing in AI who are seen to be the future of this technology, the platforms and where it's going. As soon as I saw that slide, that reminded me of a slide when I started off in my marketing career in 2011. And it's this one on the screen from Scott Brinker, and it shows almost exactly the same thing. This is just over 100 marketing technologies in 2011, all claiming to build relationships and connect with people faster. Exactly the same thing. AI today versus marketing technology in 2011. You can all guess what's going to happen next, right? He did the same chart in 2012 and there was 346 logos on it. He did it 2 years later and there was 976 logos on it. Then when he did it the year after, we can see in 2015 there was 1,876 marketing technology companies. That grew to 3,747, and in 2017 there's now 5,149 companies just focused on marketing automation. Our job is to make sense of that and try to provide better experiences for our customers. How do you navigate your way through that? It's a fucking nightmare. No wonder so many people are overwhelmed and executives feel out of control. Now that's scary, and it's our job at IBM to help people navigate their way through that, but if you think about where AI is at the moment, there's 100 logos. It's not going to be long before there's 5,000 people who've got to navigate through. Now the only reason I wanted to share this with you today is because when you start looking at some of this technology, and you start thinking about when do I need to act and do something about this, even if it's just in some really small, tiny way. This is the Gartner Hype Cycle report. I'm happy for these slides to be available to everybody, by the way. This is the Gartner Hype Cycle, which is supposed to predict the emerging technologies most likely to mature over the next 5 to 10 years. And what Gartner assumes is that AI in marketing is the most important trend in consumer communications, most likely to mature over 5 to 10 years. And because it's at the far left of this chart, what that means is that only 3% of the industry has adopted it. And it has to be 40% of an industry that adopts something before it becomes mainstream. So we're right at the very, very early stages. Gartner says this is the next 5 to 10 years. I didn't believe that. So I went to do some research of my own. We did some independent research at IBM. It's going to come out next month, so I'll give you a quick heads up on what that meant. I went up to 1,200 executives in the UK and Western Europe, not to take the American data, because that's always skewed. What are the challenges you're facing with? What strategic imperatives are you most likely to put in your business and what you're going to invest in? Is it possible that you're going to have AI over the next 5 to 10 years? You know what we found out? 28% of business leaders are investing in AI over the next 18 months and into their strategy. It's not 3% over 5 to 10 years. So what that means for us is we have a very small window of opportunity that we need to do something with. We all talk about innovation, and innovation is just doing the old thing a little bit faster than everybody else. The great opportunity for us in the room, when sometimes we're just trying to keep up with everybody, is that when you look at disruptive technology like Watson, what that enables you to do is to leapfrog the competition, because disruption isn't doing the old thing faster. Disruption is doing a new thing that makes the old thing completely obsolete. Totally different thing. That's what technology like this is. So the fact that you've got access to APIs like this, and I'll show you exactly how you can get access to them in just 1 second. Pretty powerful stuff. So when you go to conferences and you read books about what this means, the future of AI and how we describe it, this is often one of the slides that gets shown. This is the killer AI slide about everything that AI stands for and how it means in the convergence of these technologies, from data science, from knowledge databases, from pattern recognition and statistics. Don't anyone take a picture of that slide. That is the worst slide I've ever seen in my entire... That's not AI. And we don't think about that at IBM as AI either. We don't think that's fair. We think it's ridiculous. It's completely pointless and meaningless. Let me tell you what AI actually is. We're going to finish in the last 3-4 minutes with a demo of what this looks like. If you hear leaders at IBM, we talk about AI, and we don't say artificial intelligence, we say augmented intelligence. We talk about cognitive. Something that has to augment human behavior. It's got to understand, reason, learn, interact. If it doesn't do all those four things, not only is it not an AI, it's not cognitive. I'd like to go one stage further, especially for the audience we've got today, and say that actually what we're talking about today isn't AI at all, it's IA. All of this stuff is just an intelligent assistant. It's not an artificial and augmented intelligence at all. So something like Watson isn't this AI that's going to try and replace people's jobs and it's going to automate all of this stuff. What AI actually is an intelligent assistant that helps you do your job faster. It's just a tool to empower employees. So, I said I wanted to leave you with a quick demo. We're going to do this super fast, but I just wanted to show you how I work based upon technology that we've got. Now, this is halfway through. I'm aware that the screen, hopefully, Dean, that our sound works when we speak to Watson, and if not, I'll tell you what's happening. This is just a very, very simple use case. Rather than showing you the big stuff, we showed you Wimbledon, we showed you TJ Watson Labs. What's the most basic use case for AI? Well, some of the people I talk to, it's just email. Campaign managers. Nobody wants to give data to marketers anymore. So actually getting that data is really, really important. So once you've got it, you need to be respectful of it. And if that's an email newsletter or something as basic as that, you've got to make sure it's good. So when you send out bad content, things fall off. People unsubscribe. So what you're seeing on the screen is one of the tools we have within Watson Marketing. This isn't a sales pitch at all, but no one else in the world has anything like this. And I wanted to show you how this comes together. Because if we talk about voice technology for the rest of the day, think about this. By 2020, over 30% of all browsing behavior is going to happen without a screen. IDC's trends came out 18 days ago. IDC's trends for the next decade, and it showed something really dramatic. This is incredible. IDC is predicting the use of AI and voice and all this kind of stuff going forward. And you know what they found out? Within a decade, 60% of user experience, interfaces, and apps, 60% are going to be built by people with no coding experience whatsoever. The trend is called low code, no code. And most of that's going to be built by a voice. What does that mean for developers? We're all learning to code. My son's at university learning Python and R to be a data scientist. You're not going to need that in a decade. We're going to be talking to systems to help build some of these apps. So what this is a campaign that's gone wrong that I've been building out. And instead of going backwards and forwards to analysts and agencies, I just want to ask Watson. It's like having the world's best marketing assistant that knows everything I've ever done, and I just ask him, and he gives me instant replies, and he can process 10 million records a second. We're going to try it. Please. So here we go. So we've already looked at a campaign. We've seen that this campaign is doing very bad. It's only ranking 238 out of 250. There's 143,000 records on this database. Watson's trying to look at them all to figure out what's gone wrong, and we've seen that the campaign is trending down. So let's see if we can find out why. Watson, what is the subject line for this campaign? We have no sound. This is a shame. Okay, I'm going to call us to a close, and if I'll hang around in the break and we can show this and see if it works, because what's actually going to happen is I would build out the rest of this campaign in the next 4 stages and figure out why it's gone wrong. Asking what the subject line sentiment is, how do people feel about it? Why is it showing high levels of fear? And why is it not showing enough happiness and enough joy when no one's interacting on it? And then when I've fixed all of that, and I've got the metrics, and Watson will have measured 62 million records in about 4 seconds, we will have fixed it, built the campaign, rebuilt the campaign, done the creative, and hosted it. Published it to the web. All by voice. No coding experience whatsoever. It's ridiculous. This is available today. This isn't future stuff. This is stuff that we even give free as part of some of our products. So it's pretty badass. So this is where you go to get it. I'll hang around for Q&A. This is, if you go to ibm.com/Watson, what you'll find is information about all the stories I spoke about today, but more importantly, all these APIs. So really, Watson is just a toolbox of stuff that helps you do your job faster. It's an intelligent assistant. And you'll see some of the things we talked about, personality insights and tagging, ibm.com/Watson. Why is this stuff important? Well, what I'd like to leave you with is a thought that whilst this is all freaking amazing, thanks for being here with us today and listening to our stuff, I believe that technology is nothing. believe that what's important is that we have faith in people, that they're good and they're smart. And if you give them the right tools, hopefully they'll do something wonderful with them. Amen? Thanks, everyone.